Okay, I'm going to start out. I'm Carrie DeMuth. I'm the chapter chair for SCORE Louisville chapter. We're a national mentoring volunteer organization with chapters all over the country. And so this is us, SCORE. There's brochures. I'll have to get you some brochures.
Yeah.
So we're part of the SBA as our funding source. And so we have business folks, some retired, some still working, like Sharon and I are both still working, that want to give back in the form of mentoring. And then we also provide workshop presentations for different areas of expertise. But it's all about making sure that your business is built properly. And that's what we're going to talk about today. So I'm so excited to introduce you to Sharon Riehemann, who's one of our workshop presenters. And Sharon is currently a branch manager for Old National Bank, has great experience in helping businesses figure out their business plan, especially for getting loans from a bank. Yeah.
Believe it or not, there's a little art to that.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, we're in the right place.
All right, so I'm gonna turn it over to Ms. Sharon.
Thank you, Carrie. Like Carrie said, my name is Sharon Riehemann, excuse me. I'm with Old National Bank. My primary job is a branch manager, so I manage a team of 6. But my number one passion and love and everything is business development. So what I do on the daily or weekly is I'll go out and I try to get business and bring it into Old National, and mainly on the business side. So I go and knock on business stores and introduce myself and see if they're happy with something they can help them with, and try to move their relationship over. Now with doing that, I have got 39 years of banking experience, and about 28 years of it is on the business side, helping entrepreneurs like yourself get money, get funding, helping them with their business plan, because a business plan is what, to me, it's your life story, your passion on paper, so that when you do go to ask for money, that underwriter can look at that business plan and know exactly what your business is, what money you need, that you've done your homework on your business, you know who your competitors are. We'll get into all that shortly. But it's a snapshot of you personally as a business owner, or and any other owners that you have in your business and your business itself. And when they look at that, they're going to say, okay, they've done their homework, which means, they know what their challenges are. They know how their product or service stands above other competitors, who their competitors are. All of that is so, so important. So we're going to talk a little bit about building your business plan. How many of you guys have one, either started or completed? Good. Awesome. I'm going to go around and I want you guys to introduce yourself and tell me what your business is, what the name of the company is. Young man, we'll start with you.
My name is Sharon Riehemann, and name of my business is Charlie Handyman. I do residential repair work.
Perfect, and that's a need. It's a very big need here because we're not seeing a whole lot of handyman anymore when it comes to order booked for weeks and weeks and weeks out. So that's good. So you've got a business that there is a true need for, and that's one big important factor of your business plan is the demand for the type of business or service you're having. So that's good. And I like the name of your company. So how far have you gotten on your business plan? And what did you know when you were starting your business plan? What did you know that you needed to put into it? On it, I should say.
Number one is my target market. I was going to market it.
Yep.
And I was, the financials.
Yeah, good. And those are really 3 important keys in your business plan. And we're going to go over each one in detail. But those to me that are really the top 3 key factors, although we need other parts of your business plan on here as well. And we'll kind of go through the slide together, but I also printed this for you guys to take home, take notes on, or whatever. Because if you're like me, I'll, listen to the presentation, I'll watch all the slides, and then boom, I'll walk out and I'm like, oh gosh, what did they say about this? This way you can write it down and you can have it at your fingertips. So we're going to start with page 1. These are the 8 key components. And we'll wait till, I think Donovan's getting all his online pieces together. Awesome. Thank you so much. So bear with me. I'm not a techie person. I'm a talky person. So we're going to go to page. Do I hit the arrow key? Oh, you do. Oh, you bear. All right. So we're going to go to the next page. All right. There are 8 key points to a business plan. 1, executive summary. And now we're going to break down each one of these 8 points in more detail. But right now, I'm just going to kind of tell you what the 8 are. Executive summary, company description, products and services, marketing plan, operational plan. A lot of people forget about that operational piece in their business plan. Management and organization, startup expenses and capitalization, which is money, and the financial plan. As far as what you're going to look like down the road. All right, next page, please. And again, like I said earlier, that all a business plan is your story, your dream on paper. So that the underwriters or whoever is going to do your loan, whether it's SBA or a bank, would you all be new if it's what I call a startup company, you're starting from the ground up, you would be going SBA. If you've been in business a while and you just want to tweak your business plan and you want to borrow money to expand or whatever, then it could fall under a regular business loan at a bank. And the SBA and the banks, what they do is they partner up. And that's why SBA is so important to banks, because they actually split the money with us, where it's not all the liability on the bank because SBA backs it. So if you need $50,000 to start your business, and we're like, okay, we go through your business plan, we feel that you're, as a guarantor of your business, that everything is good and secure, we're going to say, okay, we feel good about lending $50,000 to, Susie Smith for her business. And SBA says, yep, I agree. We trust your decision on this because we did all the homework and due diligence on it. And then what SBA does is they say, here's your chunk of money. We're going to give you 30,000 of that 50,000 they need. The bank does the difference, but then you all also, we'll talk a little bit about this. You all also have to have some skin in the game, because if you think about it, a bank is they're thinking like, what if everything did that? What if it doesn't succeed? What if you don't really work hard to make your business successful? You're not out any money. So where's your motivator? So that's why we want you to have some money on this in order to have some skin in the game. All right, so we're going to talk about the executive summary. Now I'm trying to go quick because we got a funding piece to cover too, and I can get so sidetracked. So the executive summary, what that is it summarizes. What it does, it summarizes in detail what type of business that you are opening or what kind of product or service you're selling. And that's pretty important because, if you're like, Johnny's, XYZ company, and it doesn't really have what you're doing in the title, we would have no clue what your services or product is. So we need a good detail of what your business is going to be all about. The second part is management team. We need to know who are the key players in this business. And there's another portion on the business plan where you break it down on who the management team is. Now, you don't have to put in there, oh, she's going to be the secretary treasurer. We don't care about that. But if there's any ownership of 20% or more into your business, you need to have them on your business plan. And give a detailed summary. What is their background? What kind of experience? And it's okay if they don't have experience in that particular business itself, as long as they have some form of background or business in any industry, that they can run a company. That you're, obviously they can, because you're confident enough to have part of the business. So I would imagine that they have some background that qualifies them to be one of your key people. Market analysis, huge portion of your business plan is going to be talking about market analysis. And it doesn't have to be in grand detail. Some people really, they make 4 or 5 pages. That's all these graphs on the market analysis. You don't have to go that way. But do your homework. Know who your market, know the market itself, know who you want to target. You got to know your competitors inside. That's huge. And we'll go in a little bit more of that shortly. Staffing projections. How many people do you need to start your business and run it successfully? And how many people do you think if you think you're going to increase it by the end of the year, by how many people? It may be you the whole time, and you really have no plans of having anybody else but you being, running your business. But if not, you want to say how many, like it's going to take 3 of us to run this successfully, then put 3. You don't have to have names or anything like that, just how many. And then financial requirements. How much money do you need to start your business? Because a lot of people think, okay, well, gosh, how much do I need? I really don't know off the bat. Go high. It's better to go high than to go too low. But we also know that this can change on a dime as far as how much you're going to need, because you could go in and you could find a facility. If you're doing a face-to-face business where people walk in the door, say a retail of some sort, a little store, but you found the perfect spot, but you got to build it out. You're like, oh gosh, I need to have cubicles over here for this, or a roof for that, or whatever. You got to build all of that into your financial requirements on your business plan. So when you go for funding, you know exactly a roundabout number of what you need. Because a lot of people don't realize building out is pretty critical, and it can be kind of expensive, probably one of your bigger expenses to initially get started. All right, next page. The next one is company description. So again, a lot of this is kind of redundant from what we were talking about a little earlier, but this here is, you want to tell me what your business is. I want to be able to read this on your business plan and know exactly what you're doing, exactly what your services are, exactly what your product is. So the company description is pretty important. You've got company goals, what you expect in your first 12 months of sales and revenue. Again, it does not have to be exact, because you don't know. This is all projection of what you think your first year will look. And then, so you're going to look at the revenue that you think you can earn, your sales, and anticipate profitability, which you really can't do that either, but you can kind of guesstimate on that stuff. Thinking that, okay, I'm going to sell, I feel confident that I'll sell $80,000 worth of my product or service in a year, and my expenses based on all of my homework and what I think my expenses will be for those 12 months, I'm going to have a profit of $20,000. Again, we understand that these are all numbers that you anticipate, that they're not hard facts unless you're buying a business. The industry, explain your business industry in pretty much in some good detail too. Because if it's an industry that's not super common, we need to understand it a little bit better and what the need is for it. And then the legal structure. This is what I think a lot of people they think, gosh, I don't even know where to begin. How do I title my company? How should I title it? Should it be an S Corp, C Corp? First of all, if you're a brand new company, you won't be a C Corp. That's when you start making some higher revenue dollars. Then you'll look more into a C Corp. But most people, honestly, that start out with a small business are LLCs, even a sole proprietor. But that's all that you want to talk to a CPA about, because the sole proprietor, you can do it under an EIN number, which is an employee identification number, which a lot of you probably already have, or it could be under your social. but you want to be careful. You don't want all that stuff under your social either. So most attorneys or, especially the business attorneys will probably move you towards an LLC, which is a limited, you all know what that is, limited liability corporation where you've got members and all that good stuff. Kind of spread the love, so to speak. All right, next page, Mr. Donovan. Now we're getting into the fun part, because I'm sure if I was going to own a business, this would be the piece that I would get super excited about, because you have a real love and passion for what you're going to sell or do, whether it's a service or a product. So now you get to explain exactly what you're going to be selling or doing if it's a service related business. So you want a full description of your product or service that you're selling, and put in there, why do we need it? Like you come to find that there are limited handyman services, that the time frame to get something fixed would be weeks or whatever, just kind of do your little homework there. The price of the product or services, that's pretty important to know, and to put down here is what your pricing is going to be, whether it's, again, a product or a service. You've done your homework, you looked at your competitors. You don't want to outprice yourself by any stretch, but you don't want to lowball to get the business. Make sure that there's a margin of profitability for you. But if it were me, I would look at the competitors, do the average of what the competitors are, and I would be kind of in the middle. Because sometimes you go too low and some people are like, that could be a flag. Like, gosh, why are they so cheap? But you don't want to be so high that people are like, man, that's crazy. I'm not going to them. That's 3 times higher. So just kind of stay in the middle. And where and who will you purchase your inventory from? I know it sounds like why, but this shows an underwriter that you know who your vendors will be. You've done some, price checks. You want to, again, you may not want to get the cheapest person, but you don't want to get the most expensive person to buy your stuff from. But it also tells us, because then we can do a little background research on your vendors to make sure they're legit. All right, moving along. Next page, we are talking about marketing plan. This is probably, if not the most important part. Back in the day, it was pretty important because you were your brand, you get out and sell yourself. Now, marketing is like the number one most important point on a business plan, because this is how you're going to make money. This is how you're going to build your business, is how you market it. You, number one, are your brand, period. The more you get out in the market, the more people that you meet, you're building your brand. So you want to always make that up. And I don't have to tell you guys this, but when I teach a financial literacy class to seniors and stuff, I always talk about social media and the importance of it and how it can make you or break you. Doesn't matter if it's 25 years ago when you were full in college and you were dancing on a bar with beer in hand. Just be careful what you post, but on your business, the marketing plan is going to be key, because people nowadays, that's the first thing they do. I want to check their Facebook page. I'm going to Google them. I want to see, what's out there. And like Carrie's class, which is all about Google placement and Google marketing and all that stuff. That's why it's so important that you have a really good one in place. And one thing I can't stress enough is if you're not an expert in advertising or marketing, talk to somebody who is. Spend that couple $100 that it may cost you for a couple hour consultation. It's worth every penny for them to help you, guide you. Talk to a professional website designer.
Oh, I just want to add in part of your marketing plan,
Yeah.
definitely for our contractors and those in the construction sector, their capability statement should be an essential part of your marketing plan, and definitely an essential part of your business when you're doing networking. If you're in critical sessions, you should always have your capability statement with you to pass along. That is a great tool to market your business and a great tool to land new business, definitely in the construction sector. And that's just knowing is the key services your business has, each offers, the key core services that business have, and then knowing the various construction codes relevant to your services. And key too, lastly, indicating your various licensing and certification that you have, as well as a great marketing tool that you have on your capability statement.
Bingo. Thank you so much for that, Ellen. That's valuable information. Because people want to see your credentials. They want to make sure that you've got the appropriate background, education, everything else to be doing what you're doing. But Carrie could probably tell you that they're probably, the most of their business is probably people like yourselves, where they're trying to make it. They're trying to get their name out there. How can I get above these big box stores or, bigger businesses that's been around 20, 30 years and they have name recognition and you're just starting. So knowing having a marketing professional help you, I think is probably one of your better investments, honestly. And we'll talk a little bit about this, but when you're determining how much money you think you need to start it, the marketing dollars is big. You definitely want to build that into how much money you need to borrow to start your business. So many people, they don't think about the marketing money. They think about, inventory or employees and light utilities and rent. Boom, this has got to be just as important, if not more important than rent, to be honest. Because without a really good marketing plan and getting your name out there and getting people to understand and know your brand, you won't have to worry about the rest, right? You're not gonna have the business walking in the door. So, if you need help, get a hold of Carrie, myself. We'll find reputable people that can help guide you in building websites. I know a few people, I'm sure Carrie knows a ton, because that's kind of in her arena. But there are people that we trust that that will help you guys, won't overcharge, that type of thing, to help you get set on your marketing piece of it. But this is incredibly important. And part of that too is, marketing research. We keep talking a lot about that, making sure that you've done your research on your competitors, your products, vendors, everything, because all of that can affect your brand. If you go with somebody that has less quality stuff or whatever, you use them because they're a little cheaper, you don't want that, especially starting out. You need to know your target customer. So if you are somebody that is going to do like a medical transportation, you need to know who your target customers are. It's always going to be people that have a need for, they don't have their own transportation. So, your target customers might be a lot of nursing homes, where they have to go to doctor's appointments and they don't have, some facilities may not have that transportation ability. Some have it, but a lot don't. But places like that, do your homework, know your target customer, know your key competitors. Who are they? Where are they located? Why is your location maybe better than theirs, or maybe theirs is better than yours? So you have to make up for it some other way. Barriers to entry. So during the research, what were some of the barriers to starting your business? So if you've been having this idea of starting a business, it was 15, 20 years ago, what's kind of stopped you from doing it? What was it? The need for your product or service? Was it just timing? Was it fear? Because I can understand the fear part of starting your own business, but kind of talk a little bit about the barriers on that. Was it cost, popularity of your product or service? Because we don't expect a business plan to be perfect. We just want to know that you thought long and hard about this business, that your chances of success. Nobody can determine whether you will be or not, but it's a lot of hard work, that's for darn sure. But it's totally worth it in the long run. The next piece is the continuing on the market is the advertising. You can't do commercials unless you've got a lot of income that you can just blow on a 30-second commercial. So the advertising piece, you want to budget that in on your request for money, start your business. Same thing with the marketing, kind of falls hand in hand actually. But the advertising, it's not necessarily, back in the day, we hear the word advertising, we kind of thought like, oh gosh, radio spots or television. No. Because you know what? Everybody DVRs and they fast forward. So there's not a whole lot of bang for your buck anymore when it comes to commercials. So your big advertising dollars are going to be spent on social media, Google. How can I get my name up there? Somebody's looking for handyman. Boom, Charlie pops up right away. So we want to make sure that the money that you're spending and the money that you're asking for on your total amount has a pretty sizable marketing and advertising budget on there. Because that also, it doesn't scare a lender. It actually makes us feel a little bit better because we know that you're really wanting to get your name out there and your brand out there. And you're going to spend the money to make money. And I'm sure you guys have heard that for, going way back in the day. Where and how will you advertise? To given all social media outlets, you're going to do your Facebook, you're going to do your Twitter, you have Twitter, you're going to do LinkedIn. Any other social media things? Instagram, yeah. So anything that people are into, boom, put it on there. Again, the marketing, we're kind of overlapping a lot. How will you develop your brand? You are the brand. So you need to get out there, do whatever it takes, knock on doors, hand out flyers, social media, blogs, whatever it takes to get your name out there. Pricing, same thing. What's your price point? How's it compare to your competitors? And location. If you're a brick and mortar type of business, if you're not, then that really doesn't matter. This will be your biggest piece, especially if you don't have a building with your name or a sign or anything. So you got to get out there and make sure that you're posting it everywhere and anywhere you can. If you have to go to conventions or trade shows or whatever. Again, the big dollars. If I was starting a business, I'd fork out big bucks to get me an expert in marketing and social media for sure, and web design. Because a lot of people have a website. Anybody here have a website set up? Good. Are you comfortable with your website?
I guess somebody else would have to, but yeah, I have.
Yeah. But you've got the basic website set up. So that's where it would pay for you to have somebody look it over, tweak it, fix it, make it user friendly, because that's the big thing. If it's a service that you're going to sell online, you've got to have a really good engine that can take payments. Not just say you can only pay by PayPal or you can only pay by Apple Pay, because not everybody has iPhones. But you want to be able for them to be able to just go and hit credit card, debit card, or whatever. So you want to be able to offer everything. You don't have to offer every credit card. Right. Discover, I wouldn't. American Express, probably not. Because their fees are a lot higher than most. But Visa, MasterCard, you're good to go. Those are the two that everybody uses the most of. Yeah. Now, if you find a need down the road and everybody's wanting to use their American Express to get, some kind of cash back or something, then you can look at that, But in the beginning, I just do Visa, MasterCard. All right, next page, we're going to talk a little bit about the operational plan. Now, the breakdown of this is like the second, I think it's the second to the last page on here, where it talks about startup. Because on the operational plan, this is going to talk about production. Will you have will you have a production cost? Include that in your pricing. Quality control. Will you have quality control? Now, does anybody here have a business that would have like a production cost, like you're going to manufacture anything? Is most everybody here going to be selling a service of some sort? Because I started with Charlie and I kind of got sidetracked. So what is your name? What is your business?
My name is St. Louis Shed. My business is simply St. Louis Superior Material Handling.
I have a dump truck company.
Oh.
Offers flagging and dispatching.
Oh, okay, so tell me a little bit more about that.
Yes, ma'am. The dispatching and flagging are all three different entities that can work together. When I send my dump trucks out,
Okay.
they will have their dispatchers to make sure they know where they're going. They will have their flaggers on site. Right now, I'm using the dispatching and flagging to save money towards the dump trucks.
Okay.
Because I can send them out to flag the different.
So do you
construction
work with, okay, I was gonna say, you work with construction companies then that are working on roads and you need to.
Yes,
Okay,
yes.
good. Well, what made you get into that business? Do you have a background in it?
I have a background in running a business.
Okay, well, that's important.
And
Right
I've
there.
worked in, I was a millwright before, so I've always worked in fields where I was the only female on site.
Yeah.
I've had the hard hat, steel toes, tool
Mhm.
belt.
Mhm.
I've been there, and my experience for 20+ years is running someone else's
I
business.
got you. Okay.
So
Okay,
if
well,
I can
that's
do
a
it for
talent.
them, I can do it for me.
That's 100%.
Yeah.
I love it. What about you, Dan?
My name is Yolanda Cargill, and I have a construction cleaning company. I too
Oh, no way.
have worked construction all my life. My specialty was asbestos removal and underground tunnel.
Oh,
work.
wow.
I've always been the only woman, most of the time on jobs. But catching COVID, just tired of jackhammering, working hard all my life. I want to do something different. I always work with my hands, so I wanted to stay in construction, but something easy that I could do without,
Right.
you know what I'm saying? So
Yeah, yep.
I vowed to
And there's a
upgrade
need for that.
before I get broke down. So,
Yeah.
I
Well, you
think
guys could
construction
really partner and be a good resource for each other. Because if you're doing construction sites, you know, certain sites are definitely gonna need cleanup. And then, you know, you may hear of a job that they're gonna start, then, you know, so you guys could be a really good resource.
I apologize for being late, because this is where I was.
No, that's
And
okay.
being in the job.
Right.
It's
Well,
right
good for
here.
you. I'm excited. That's good. And yes, ma'am, Dana.
My name is Dana Spencer. I'm a published author and soon to be published online course creator. I've written a book, A Beginner's Guide to Financial Freedom through Real Estate.
I love it.
Thank you. And so I help women to get started investing in real estate. And so I also want to coach and consult. And so now my newest idea is to create an event space for creators. So, you know, my clients would also have access to the space. So if somebody wanted, it's gonna have a commercial kitchen, for you to be able to come, videos and just create, and so that you can, you know, promote on your social media if you want to be an influencer or whatever. Because a lot of times entrepreneurs, they need coaching, but they can't afford coaching. So I'm gonna offer a complete package to where once you rent out the space, it comes with coaching as well.
I love that. Now, see, Charlie and you could be a good resource.
Oh, yeah, I was like, everybody needs a handyman. Oh, yeah.
Absolutely. Especially if you sell a property, somebody that needs work. Boom.
Right,
You got
right.
Charlie.
So
And
your
then you
book's
all
all
can clean
about-
up.
No, it's how to. So I started off talking about mindset, relationship spot, and then I walked you through the process of getting your first property.
Awesome.
Oh, yeah, it dropped August, so yeah, I have some for sale, yes. You
Good.
got it.
I love it. Yeah. See, I love all these great ideas that I, you know, would never even think about that need, but when you all tell me, I'm like, Lord, yeah, there would be need for that. Awesome. What about you, Emily?
I'm a notary and I'm studying to be a doula right now.
Oh, okay.
A doula. What's a doula? A
Doula.
She said, "What's a doula?"
I do.
They help support women with a childbirth or
Oh,
postpartum
okay, like a
support.
midwife or
It's
whatever.
kind of like a midwife, because we don't have like a license.
I gotcha.
We just get like the support.
Awesome. That'd be a fun job.
Yeah, it's gonna be fun. I'm excited going through the training.
Yeah.
I don't have
More
kids.
people are going that way.
Yeah.
I like helping people, so.
Yeah.
So that's a perfect job for
Yes,
So my name is Richard Gallup. My company is called Mindset Investments. I do
investments?
mindset investments. So right now I'm just doing investment real estate investments.
Okay.
Fix and flips, but looking to scale my business. I'm doing basically doing my own contract.
Oh, wow, good for you. Good for you. I say, I love the diverse ability and the different types of businesses, but if you think about it, everybody here could work with each other. Because there's a little portion that could, Charlie could work with Dana on certain things, and you two could work with each other, and he could work with his contracting, he could even work with you guys, and you guys, so, yeah. That's why it's so, networking to me is like so huge in building a business, because you can't build it by sitting in your office.
Right.
You build it by going to chamber events and the different Rotary events, go as a guest to somebody. You'll meet, what is there, like 150 people each week at the Rotary. And they go from retired executives all the way down to small business owners like yourselves. And it's a great way to meet people. And they're there for the same reason. They want to meet you guys. They want to meet people that could help them, or that, that you could help them. So
Is the Rotary something that SCORE puts out?
no, Rotary is a totally different organization, and it's international, just like SCORE. We do a lot of partnering. We absolutely do a lot of partnering with SCORE. We do a lot of workshops like this with SCORE. But Rotary is kind of different. We do a lot more for like the children in the community, disasters and in the country or even international. But it's kind of comprised of, it used to be really a lot of retired people would be part of the Rotary. Now it's people 18, 19 that are getting into a corporate job, or they have a job where they need to meet people and have sales and have referral sources, or you've got your typical retired executive from GE or whatever that still doesn't just be in the community. But everybody's there for the same purpose, and that is to meet another person that can help grow their business. Yep. So, look at all those types of things to do, and go to lunch, and email me if you guys are ever interested. I'll take you to my desk. It's down here, Joe's Palm Room. So email me, I'll say, absolutely, come on, and I'll meet you outside. I'll bring you in and introduce people and have a lunch and listen to the speaker, and I think you'll really enjoy it. All right, Mr. Donovan, I think we're ready to move on to the next one. Suppliers, of course, that's part of your vendor pricing when you're doing your amount that you need on financing. And management and organization. This is just whoever, and most of you guys will probably just be you all to start out with, but give some detail on who you are. What's your background? Doesn't matter if you haven't been in the business you're starting, it doesn't matter. But just tell us your background, and all of your work, not all, it goes back 50 years and it doesn't, it's McDonald's, don't worry about that. But give us some of your work experience. And then who are your advisors? If you've been having, you may not have a CPA already lined up. You may not have an attorney or anybody else that you're working with right now, because you're just starting out. But if you do, if you have an attorney that you're going to deal with, or a CPA or whatever, kind of put them on there. Not that that is critical to this business plan at all. It's not. And then the final page is the startup expenses and capitalization. This is where you got to kind of do your homework and really think hard, because again, you don't want to say you only need 50,000, but really, if you've done a little dug a little deeper in your homework, you need 75. So break down your startup expenses, and what that includes: payroll, your payroll, or any employees that you have. You build that into your first 12 months of the capitalization. Build out expenses. That's if you're going to get a store and you got to fix it up and clean it up and partition it into different offices or whatever. And then inventory. How much are you going to have to buy? How much is your inventory? How much do you want to keep on hand? Add that in there. Utilities, you gotta add that in there. Say you think it's gonna be 150 bucks a month, do that times 12, build that into it. Computer system and software, equipment. A lot of people don't think about all these little expenses, but that adds up real quick when you're starting a business. And then you've got, again, your attorney, CPAs. If you know that you're going to be using a CPA quarterly to file your taxes, boom, put their cost in there, whether it's 250 bucks a quarter or whatever. Advertising, marketing, remember, this one is humongous. So if anything, overestimate on that. Because that's where you want to spend the most of your money is marketing. And then insurance. A lot of people forget about insurance. If you got people working for you, you all have people that you need workers' comp and all that stuff. So yes, bonds and all that stuff, that adds up. Yep. So just remember all of these factors when you're thinking about how much I will need eventually when I go to ask for money. Because again, people don't necessarily think a whole lot about your own salary. They don't think about CPA, utilities, marketing, and all that stuff. And then last but not least is the financial plan, which is pretty much this in a nutshell. And honestly, yes, sir.
If I may interject,
Absolutely.
in the payroll section.
Yeah.
Key, I think for definitely a lot of us, small businesses owners, to include your salary. You include your own salary in your payroll section. And you definitely, in on your business, you should have both a personal budget and a business budget to kind of help you determine what your salary should be based on the personal budget, and how much it's going to cost you to survive based on the standard of life and living part of life that you would like to have. And so you determine what you should be earning and making from your business.
Absolutely, good point. And make it realistic. I mean, you know, I'm gonna pay myself $100,000 a year. But, yeah, make it realistic, like, okay, you know, I'm a small business, you know, 50, 60,000, or depending on what your product or services in that industry. Because if the industry dictates that it should be 100,000 or 90,000, then you can, you know, roughly calculate your income to be that. So then the financial plan at the very last page is pretty much the same as all of your startup expenses and capitalization. You do a 12-month profit loss. Now, if you don't have that, that's not the end of the world. You know, and basically what that is, you make a column of all of your income, like where it come from, sales, revenue, whatever. And then you have your liabilities, which is your utilities, your payroll, your insurance, your marketing, your website design, CPA costs, all that stuff. If there's a monthly cost to it, if there's quarterly, then you divide by 3 or more. So then you put all of that on as your profit and loss, and then the use of capital in the first 12 month. Are you going to take the money that you make as a profit and pocket it, take it home? Or are you going to reinvest it back into the business? Again, this piece of the financial plan or the business plan, honestly, if you don't get to that or you don't put that on your plan, it's not the end of the world. Because most of the lenders or underwriters, we know that in the first 12 months, if you don't calculate your paycheck, your payroll into the cost of what you're borrowing, then you could say, well, the money that the profit I'm taking because I don't have a paycheck. You can do that. So if this is the piece of all the parts of a business plan you don't get to, or you don't even know where to begin, this is one that you don't have to, it's not a must. I'll put it that way. They like to see it on there. You can do a profit loss. And honestly, there's a lot of those. You can Google profit loss statement templates online, and it will guide you. And it will say like utilities, this, and you just kind of mark what you think it will be. We know it's not exact. It's just a guesstimate. So this is what needs to be on the business plan, or what you'd like to see on the business plan. You guys have any questions on that, on the business plan, please? Pretty self-explanatory. Again, and the thing with the business plan, it's never done. It's ongoing. It's your story. Every year it's different. Because you know, you're going to change it up from year to year, because you're going to see things that you want to do different. Or you see things that you thought were a great idea at the beginning that aren't really working. So you're going to get rid of that part of your business and really focus on a different part. Or you might add something different into it. But just remember that, and it's not like every single year on the 12th month exact date, you've got to do something with your business plan. But I would highly suggest that every year or two, go back in, tweak it, Always tweak it, because if not, if you're not doing it for anything other than yourself, it keeps you on your own development path.
Right.
And it kind of helps you sink in where you're at with your business, how well you're doing, what you can change or what you can keep the same. But it just kind of helps you stay focused and set maybe a goal for yourself. Once you get up and running your first two goals, and please Lord, let them survive. You know, you want to make it. But once you get in 2 or 3, 4 years down the road, then you want to start setting yourself some goals. Put them on your business plan for sure. All right, so now we're gonna move on into the funding your business. We all need money to start our business, right? Unless we were blessed enough to be, well, oh, yes, sir, yeah. We're on the funding side. Unless you were blessed enough to be able to self-fund your business, but that's not realistic. Very few people have the money to do that, so. That's where you rely on banks and SBA. And in some cases, we're both, you know. You go to your bank and you want to get a startup loan or business loan, SBA is going to back it. Okay, so these are some fun little facts on funding, and whether it's SBA, bank, or business loan. 78% of startups did not seek, much less obtain outside finance, instead relying on personal savings or income from another job, and that depleted their savings. Most people do that. They don't want to go into their business being in debt, and I totally understand that. But you also, you definitely need to put some of your own money in there because that's a motivator. But that's why SBA exists, is to help the small businesses or small business owners start their own business and fulfill a dream that they have. And you don't want to use all of your savings because, you know, God forbid, what happens if it doesn't? It's not successful, you know, and you got to have something to fall back on. So just remember that, spread that debt, if you want to call it debt, spread it. Don't take it all on and deplete your personal savings. That's why SBA is out there. They've got that money set aside to be used for small business entrepreneurs. All right, and the thing is with SBA is the rates are usually better than a regular business loan would be anyway. Because they know that you're starting out, you can't afford a 9%, you know, business loan. So they're usually on the lower side when it comes to interest.
SBA takes too long.
It does. Now, okay, let me squash that thing because back in the day, you're right. Back in the day, it was about a 16 to 18 week process, you know, from applying for the loan to actually closing it. But it has sped up, especially, I can't speak for SBA if you go directly to SBA.gov and apply for a loan. I'm not sure how long it takes there, but I do know in the banking world, typically, even if it's SBA, we're only looking at a couple of weeks. You know, we look at your financials, you know, you're going to be the guarantor for your business. So when you come in and you apply for a $30,000 business loan to start your business, you are going to be the guarantor, basically. You yourself is the collateral, so to speak. You know, we look at your history. We look at if you have another job, you know, that's income coming in. And we look at basically the ability to pay. Most entrepreneurs, they keep their full-time job if they can while they start their business. If you can't, then they're going to say, okay, well, how are you going to repay the loan if you don't have sales in the first couple months? But that's kind of built into your working capital too. To kind of get started, but also be able to pay your monthly payments until you start seeing sales coming in. So they definitely want you as a guarantor. This says most, if not all banks and SBA will place a UCC blanket. All that is basically it's like a unified lien. And you didn't hear this from me, but it's not like a car loan, like you have a car loan and they place lien on it, you can't sell that car. But with the UCC blanket lien, it's on computers. They're not gonna know if you do that computer app will quit working and you don't buy a new one. But they do that as some form of like if you defaulted and you just walked out the door and we came in to check everything out because we hadn't heard from you in 6 months and we're seizing the property, that it just legally lets us come in, and if the equipment's still here, we can take it and resell it. But I don't know what they do with it, honestly, because most times they don't resell it. So I'm not quite sure. I think from what I understand, they have donated to schools and stuff in the past, like if they seize the place, had like 30 computers or laptops, I think they donated to schools or things like that with it. Says banks and SBA will require anywhere from 15 to 25% down. It's more on the 15 to 20% really down, and that's the skin in the game that we talk about. They want you to have a little bit of money invested in your business. Equipment financing, it can be anywhere from 80% to 100%. Most of the time it's closer to 100%. They'll finance any equipment that you want to buy, especially if it's cars or trucks. Personal loans, I wouldn't suggest you get a personal loan for your business. I mean, that's what SBA is for. And then you don't want all that personal debt for your business. You want to try to keep that separate. And it's important to build credit in business. You want to do that. And on the bottom, I put home equity lines. If for some reason everything failed, you couldn't get the SBA loan for some weird reason, but you own a home, you've got equity, and you want to do a home equity loan, you can do that, and you can finance anywhere from, most banks are 90% the max that you can borrow with your equity, and most of them don't have closing costs, and it's interest only, so it's a little bit lower payment. Next page, we're going to the SBA loan options. I only put 3 because these are the 3 most popular, and I'm thinking the one that you guys would probably utilize if you choose to go SBA would be the microloans, and we'll talk a little bit about those. And that's kind of the most common for small startup business. Now, if you were starting up a larger business, like a franchise, and the franchise is 200,000 just buy into it, microloan would be the one for sure. Okay, so on the 7A, some of the characteristics of this is a loan that's maxed out at 500,000. So you can finance anything more than 500,000. It's for long and short-term working capital. So long-term, I mean, you can go out 5 years or so on the working capital piece. The revolving funds are based on the value of existing inventory and receivables, which means that if you have a lot of inventory, you're selling a product, and you have a ton of inventory, that we will use that as collateral, the inventory. And you can actually get loans. You can get business loans from a bank using your receivables. So if you have a product or service where you bill and they have a 45-day payables where it takes 45 days before they pay you, but I had a situation where I had a client who had 700,000, always 700,000 or more in receivables at one given time. He's selling big trash container things for like waste management and all that. But waste management takes like 45 to 60, even longer to pay them. And they have all these other orders that just keep coming in. And in order for him to be able to do all the other big orders, he needs more working capital because he does have this money. We know he's going to get paid. It's a big company. We know they're going to pay him. They're just slow paying him. So, we do a line of credit. We do a line of credit for like 250,000 so that he can fulfill these other orders while he waits for his receivables. But we use the receivables as collateral because we know that we'll get that money. So if something happens and he defaults on the loan and we have to take our collateral, we take over the receivables and we collect from that company and they send us the money. It happens, but not very often.
They do a loan on like your 401k, if you had like money in a
No.
401k.
No retirement plan can ever be touched for any debt period. Even if it's a personal, nothing can touch your 401s or any IRAs. Yeah, those are off limits for any kind of claims.
That's why they couldn't get OJ.
Yeah, he had that big retirement pension. They couldn't get it because it's untouchable. I know. Exactly. With the 7A, you can purchase real estate. You can do construction on a new building, for a new building or renovation of an existing one. You could do refinancing on an existing building that you have. So down the road, if you say you own the building, if you wanted to refinance, maybe lower that debt because the rate's a little bit better now, or you want to build out a little bit more, and you want to refinance and get cash out, that 7A will do that. And you can apply for a 7A for almost all loans through any bank or through SBA. Now with the 7A loans, it's 85, you can borrow 85% up to $150,000. If it's over 150, you can finance 75,000 of that amount. And the maximum amount is 500,000. If it's 150 or less, you can do like 25 years for real estate, period. You can do 10 years for any equipment. So if you want to buy a dump truck or whatever, you got 10 years. 10 years for working capital and inventory. You would think, oh, that's a long time on inventory, working capital. But that's an ongoing thing too. You're always going to have inventory. You're always going to have a need for working capital of some sort, especially if you're one that bills your customer and they all have that lovely 45-day pay period. You definitely need a working capital line of credit. 25,000 or less, if that's what you're borrowing, it's typically prime plus 4.25. So in this environment, it would be like 11.25%. 25,000 to 50 is prime plus 3.25. And I know you're thinking, wow, that's weird. The higher it is, the less the rate is. But what it is typically is the higher you go, the better your financials typically look, if that makes sense. That means your business makes a little bit more money, so you would qualify for a higher amount. So they're going to give you a little bit less of a rate because you're a little lower risk. And then 50,000 or above, it's prime plus 2.25. That would be about 9.25 right now. It's getting ready to go up another, I think, 0.75%. Okay, so there are some loans that are ineligible for the 7A, and that's any kind of real estate investment firm. Those wouldn't qualify for 7A. Pyramid sales plans, well, I don't think anybody's going to finance those anymore. And like casinos and things like that, those would not qualify for the 7A. So now, the next one, the 504. Now we're getting in a little bit more of a common one. The micros are the most popular, but these are not that unpopular. These are based on the 5 and 10 year treasury bond. So the rates on, it's not too bad.
Is it? Didn't know that type of thing just go up? Ain't that what they was talking about when they raised they have mortgages with us?
Yeah,
they have
exactly,
that-
because they're based on the bonds.
Right.
Yep. Yeah, but it's still a little bit better than the prime rate products like car loans, things like that. They're all based on prime. And when prime keeps jumping, those loans jump, the home equities jump, the car loans jump, CD rates go up, but with the mortgages and the 504 loans, they are based on the 5 and 10 year treasury. So they went up a little bit, but not probably quite as much as anything linked to prime. But see, the reason is because if you see the bond, anytime you see a bond, it's typically real estate related. So this is on existing buildings or land, any kind of new facility that you want to purchase, long-term machinery and equipment, or any kind of improvement or modernization of the lands. Like you're going to add streets, utilities, things like that. That would be included. That would be if you're more of like a contractor, construction company kind of thing. Existing facilities that you want to purchase, either renovate or not, just purchase. And then says the 504 plans cannot be used for working capital. That's the difference between this and the 7A, is you cannot use the money you borrow on this particular loan for working capital or inventory. It's only for typically fixed assets type things like buildings, equipment. You can apply for 504 through most banks or SBA.gov. All right. Continuing with the 504, you can qualify if you operate as a for-profit company in the United States. So everybody here is a for-profit. And get this, you qualify if you have tangible, if you have tangible assets or a net worth of less than 15 million. So they're not going to lend you the money if you are worth over $15 million, but you probably don't need it.
I'm over here like, you
Yeah.
like early man.
Exactly. And it says, or have an average net income less than 5 million after taxes in 2 years. So if your business is coming up and you're getting $5 million over the last 2 years, yeah, you wouldn't qualify for 504.
Yeah.
Now, microloans, that's going to be probably more what you guys would be interested in too. Now, these rates generally are between 8 and 13%. Now, this was printed when prime was a lot less. So these rates are probably closer to 10, 11, 14, 15%. These are smaller loans of less than 50,000. And the average microloan is about 13 grand. And that they're taking average. Yeah. You could be 10, you could be 30,000, but the average is 13. It can be used for equipment, machinery, fixtures, variety of purposes. You can rebuild, if you found an office you want to rent, you need to do some rebuilding in it. You can use that. Repair and improve small business, same thing. And they're available through, there are some that are available with nonprofit, community-based businesses, but these are mainly for-profit companies. So you can pretty much use the microloans for starting your business because you can use it for your equipment, your inventory, whatever you need it for. Just remember that it only goes up to 50,000. Now, what underwriters look for when you go in and you say, gosh, I'm starting a new business and I'd like to apply for an SBA loan, or just say business loan, and they know where to apply it. That you're going to know if it's a new company that we're going to do it as an SBA. You want a complete financial statement. Now, the banker will give you that. And basically all that is you fill out your personal information, your name, your address, any real estate you own, if you have a salary, whether it be through your business or it through a second job. It will ask for any assets you own, money market accounts, stocks, bonds, and even your 401, although we can't touch it, it lets us know that you have that out there. Not that we'd ever be able to touch it, but it kind of lets us know that, oh, okay, if she got into a financial bond, she can always pull what she needs to, that kind of thing. You will be the personal guarantee or guarantor for any loan that you do through SBA, which means you're backing your company. And anybody that has 20% or more ownership in your company will have to be a guarantor, or at least sign off saying, yeah, I know I have 20%, I'll fill out my personal financial statement, but I don't necessarily want to be on the loan. They don't have to know the loan, but they have to sign some documents saying that they're aware because they're part owner of that company. So you're going to be a personal guarantee. So what they look for there is your ability to pay it back. They're going to look at your credit history. Your score is going to play a part of that. If your score is decent, and it doesn't have to be 800, 700. It could be in this mid 600s as a guarantor. But we do look at that to look to see your credit history And to see your ability to pay it back. Again, they'll look at either your W-2, what you, or W-2 yourself, or if you have a secondary job, or what, like last year's W-2 or something. Again, they're gonna look at your personal credit score, payment history. Now, once you get a business loan, it starts reporting to Duns and Bradstreet, which is like the TransUnion or Equifax for businesses. So it reports there, which is good because it gives you a business history to Duns and Bradstreet. Which down the road, if you need a line of credit for your business, you're doing really well, and you get a line of credit to kind of help buy more inventory. Or if you're a seasonal companies definitely need line of credit. Like if they're a landscaper, they're crazy busy in the summer, making tons of money, but in the winter, they're like nothing. So a line of credit, they can live on that line of credit through the winter. And then when summer comes around, they make all this money, they can pay down that line of credit and start over, just kind of revolving. That's kind of why they call it like a revolving line. Yes.
So what would you recommend the difference between, because you keep hearing all this buzzwords about business credit. So if we've had our LLC for at least a year, what would you recommend business credit versus applying for a loan? Apply for a credit card or apply for a loan? Or depends on what you're gonna do.
If you don't need the loan for anything, I mean, if you don't have a purpose for an actual loan, I go with a business credit card. Because then you can, spend money on it if you want, or just let it sit there and not be charging interest, or you can get gas for your car because it's a business expense, and then each month pay it off, and then that's building that credit through on your business itself too, which is, it's pretty important, especially if you're seeing that you're growing, and eventually you're going to want a decent sized line of credit. You want some business credit.
Like that, by your account, like Home Depot, gas.
Yes. Yeah. Yep. Exactly. Yep. They will pull that and they'll say, oh yeah, for gas, it's like you have over the road trucks. You want to go with fleet cars or something. That would, they want to see some type of business credit. So yes, to answer your question, I'm definitely go business. Yeah, because you're still guaranteeing it personally, but the main debt will be under and your business EIN, and God forbid if it did fail, it fails through your business EIN, not your personal. You guys have heard debt to income ratios, like if you go to buy a car or something. They have the same thing in the business world, but it's called debt service ratio. And basically it's kind of the same concept. What they do is they look at all of your monthly debt that you pay on your business, which would be your utilities or whatever you owe. And it has to be anything that is a true debt, like utilities or whatever. If it's petty cash, the keep candy in the break room, no, you don't have to put any of that. But if it's like utilities or water or, you buy a certain inventory or something every month, or office supplies, things like that, you want to put down on your debt service ratio. And then what they do is they take your annual sales divided by 12, and they divide that together. And most banks have a debt service ratio of about 1.3, 1.5. What that means is for every dollar you spend, you're bringing in on your business, you have either 1.3 or 1.5% in sales. So basically, you're at either 0.3 or 0.5 above what you're spending. So it's actually, if you think about it, it's a little bit better of a calculation or ratio than it would be for debt to income on a personal side. Because we don't have to do utilities and stuff. We have anything that's reported to the credit bureau is what you basically is included in your debt to income. But that is like the right number is like 42% below is where they want you to fall, which doesn't take any time. If you've got $1,400-$1,500 mortgage payment, and a car payment, boom, you're going to be right up there in the low 40%. Whereas that service ratio gives you a little bit more wiggle room. So And then you're actually claiming a lot more on that too, because you're putting down things that you don't put down on a debt to income, like utilities, you don't have to put that on there. So anyway, that is how they calculate if whether you have the ability or the company has the ability to pay it. Experience in the industry preferred but not required. That is, if say you work for a daycare for 15 years and you just loved it, so you decided, I think I'm gonna get me a daycare, you know, on the other side of town, where they don't have this thing or whatever, or you're gonna have a special type of daycare. Going into an SBA loan, honestly, you would be borderline whether you would qualify for SBA or a standard business loan, because you have the experience in the field. You didn't own it, but you have experience. Me personally, I would still go SBA only because while you can, because once your business is up and running, 2 years, you can't qualify for SBA because you're getting a little bit better deal on the rate, and the qualifications to qualify for an SBA loan are not quite as tight as they are for a regular standard business loan. There's a little more, only because the bank's not taking 100% of that liability. They're sharing it with the SBA. And the SBA is backing it. So, you know, you don't have to have a perfect credit score or whatever to qualify. Yeah. I know we kind of went over a ton. We talked a little bit about the business versus the personal credit. It's really important to have business credit. And if you can, honestly, I would, you know, once you get up and running, I would probably get a, if you don't have a need to get a loan per se, I would definitely get a credit card, you know, because that's still going to build your credit with Duns and Bradstreet, but it's not putting you in any kind of debt unless you go crazy and start spending stuff.
Does Old National have a business credit card?
Yep, we sure do. Yep. And again, that's going to work kind of the same way as any other business loan. You'll be the guarantor for it, but yeah. So everybody here, have you guys gone online and got your business all set up, active with SOS, the Secretary of State, your EIN numbers, all that good stuff? Good, good. So that's first big step, and then moving along. You guys have any questions? Yeah, let me give you a write your email address down. And I'll email this. So we can see you and then you'll email me.
An example. An example of a business plan that you issue.
You know what? I almost bought one and I totally forgot it, but I can. Absolutely. Let me make a note and I will do that. Yeah, I want to bring that to what I do.
Okay, to our online participants, we're wrapping up. If you have any questions, please put them in the Q&A. I believe we have everyone who has signed up their email addresses, so we will be sending out all the handouts, the slide presentation, and notes to you via email for everyone who has participated today, both online and in person.
Perfect. Oh, good. Good.
And hopefully we'll also have a sample business plan to share so you guys can help begin drafting your business plan. And if you need further assistance, please reach out to us here at the plan room.
And then email me. Contact me, I'll email you back, you know,
Well, all said, no questions. We're going to go ahead and wrap up our online session. Thanks for joining us today.
when